You ever had a line from a movie punch you in the face like Mike Tyson in his prime? I gotta tell you what happened to me. I hope you're locked in. Not everything is what it seems. So I was rewatching the 1997 classic As Good As It Gets. Jack Nicholson, Helen Hunt, really good movie. Jack Nicholson's character has OCD and he suffers in life and he hates life and he's just not having a good time. And he's trying to get help from his therapist who refuses to see him without an appointment because he's kind of a dick. Anyway, he comes out of his doctor's office pissed off and he delivers this line.
Oh, I read that, maybe.
Thank you very much.
What if this is as good as it gets?
Oh.
Oh. See, exactly. That was my reaction, same as that lady. Oh. Did you hear that? Oh.
What if this is as good as it gets?
Oh.
Oh, maybe it was the dude. But that's exactly right. Oh. That was my reaction. I've watched this movie 1,000 times, and I just turned 33, folks. I watched this scene recently, again, for the I guess the 7th or 8th time I've watched this film, and it hit me like a bag of bricks. And I started going into this deep nostalgia. I thought just because I'm a pansy.
I don't like soft ass shit. Oh, you don't?
Turns out it's a trend. So check this out. This is from Forbes. The 2016 nostalgia boom is less about music and more about millennial fatigue. What do you mean the 2016 nostalgia boom? What even is that, right? Get into the article here. The last several months, brands, influencers, and rank-and-file workers alike have been evoking the year 2016 with a fervor that feels less like a throwback trend and more like a collective sigh of relief. Across TikTok and Instagram, 2016 is a shorthand reference to a time that existed before collective burnout had become commonplace. And if you watch my last video, we talked a little bit about sort of a conspiracy that we're all living through, as Dave Chappelle mentioned, collective burnout. That's not just cultural chatter. The data suggests a workforce that is deeply strained. As of 2026, around 66% of U.S. employees report feeling burnout in some form. Now, this goes on to talk about employment and more about the business side of things. Of course, it's Forbes, but it's interesting Forbes brings it up. And there's another article here that I wanted to really kind of talk about from the BBC. Rose-tinted filter, why 2016 is taking over social media in 2026. Wake up, it's 2016, that's how it starts. The Chainsmokers are playing wall-to-wall. You've perfected your Snapchat dog filter. It talks about all the wonderful things that were happening in 2016. You had what? You had Pokemon Go. You had Game of Thrones, all these great shows kicking it. You had Donald Trump running for president, very important. You had a lot of things happening in 2016 that were kind of peak in many ways. And it has... A lot of people say since 2012, but I think since 2016 it has kind of gone down, and people seem to agree with me on this. I thought I was the only one, but here we are. The nostalgic wave has got us recalling our favorite trends, tracks, and looks, but why now? And is there anything special about the year 2016 specifically? I think there's something more about the year 2026 and what's wrong with the year 2026. This goes on to talk about music and more so pop culture, but I bring these articles up to point out the fact that there is a nostalgia factor that a lot of people are feeling. I've been talking to some friends lately about this very subject. We talked about, why did things feel better, up until recently? And I think it's an age thing. If you guys are young, in the comments, if you're like below 25 years old, let me know, because you guys don't remember a world where like the phone was still hooked up to the wall and there was like a rotary phone and shit like this, and your internet came with a donkey. That's where you got that noise, and then it connected. All that shit. So it's like, maybe it's an age thing, but it feels like everything now is kind of soulless and artificial. Am I the only one? Let me know in the comments. Let me know if you're young, if you're younger than 33, that's what I am. Let me know if you guys are feeling the same thing I'm feeling. Very interesting topic, and I came across this video from Moon, which great content creator. If you guys haven't followed his channel, check out his channel, Moon. We're living in a dystopian movie, says the video. We're going to watch a little bit of the video and then I'm going to chime in.
From the Time Machine to 1984 all the way to the Hunger Games, dystopias have only gotten more popular over time. This could be because the stories they tell and the worlds they explore seem increasingly similar to our own. Looking at all the seemingly unsolvable issues within our own society leads us to that very question. Are we today also living in a dystopia?
Yes. That's my short answer. Let me know in the comments what your answer would be. The short answer is yes for me.
understand whether our world qualifies as one, we really need to just figure out what a dystopia actually is, and what sets dystopian media apart from other genres. At the most basic level, it can be understood as the mirror image of a utopia. While a utopian society is either close or has already attained perfection, a dystopia is the opposite. It's a world where negative aspects of society or massive looming problems dominate everything else. It could be nearly anything, from out of control technology to an oppressive regime, or even the consequences of some cataclysmic world-changing event. As long as you've got that, the only restriction is that society still needs to exist. While it wouldn't be very nice to live in a world where the zombie apocalypse has taken place, if wider society has already broken down, then it wouldn't be a dystopia. So this is the nuts and bolts of the genre, but it still doesn't really tell us anything about why people like the genre or how much a dystopia resembles our own world.
Why do we like watching things that depress us so much? Why do we like watching things that make us fearful and make us look at things in an ugly filter? It's kind of a weird thing, isn't it?
Key byproduct of how messed up the world has become is that we've got plenty of material here to help us along. When the world shut down in early 2020, it was pretty easy to see why people thought we were living in a dystopia. Between the empty streets and the 24/7 news coverage, it was almost impossible to go through your day without being confronted by it all. It wasn't surprising that in the first 2 months of the outbreak, the game Plague Inc. saw its global downloads more than double, pushing it towards the top of the App Store charts. Its gameplay of managing the spread of a pathogen was all the more relevant. The film Contagion, which depicts an imaginary flu pandemic, also saw a massive burst of interest. It went from being the 270th most popular movie straight into the iTunes top 10 for digital downloads. These jumps in popularity were pretty predictable really, in the same way that any movie which seems to predict the future will see renewed interest. If audiophobic aliens really did invade, then A Quiet Place would probably see a meaty bump in sales, at least among people who don't mind reading subtitles. But while Contagion and Plague Inc. aren't really dystopias either, it does illustrate the key behind what's made the genre what it is today. Dystopias are based on taking a problem with our own world and magnifying it until it dominates and defies everything. If you're a writer or any kind of art...
And that's really the point of the video that I wanted to make. The magnification of crap in our world today makes us yearn for a time where it wasn't like that, you know? Where you didn't have social media that was so prevalent and so much in your face.
Resistance is futile.
A friend of mine told me yesterday, and he was right. He's like, I should know what happens on the other side of the world 3 minutes after it happens. That's not right. That's not normal. It feels like there's something wrong with it. And I feel like a lot of us are yearning for a time where there was a bit more soul in the world, where media and things like this, like Moon's talking about here, it didn't really attack your sensibility. It kind of made you feel good. And now these things make us feel bad. We watch a lot of content that makes us feel kind of like worried in many ways. These films like that he mentioned, it did kind of set us up for a mentality where it was kind of dystopian.
Sounds like you've had a hard life. Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to check out the full video, very interesting stuff. Make sure to check out Moon's content. But I want to check out some of the comments here from people there. Again, short answer, yes, that's what I said. Look at it. The quality of art and entertainment has taken a steep decline in recent years. Sure, someone says, yes, it's not even a cool dystopia. On a dark level, everyone has a dystopia they like. Yeah, fair enough, man. Everyone's saying there's no youth to fill the jobs, yet no one is able to find the job, may be the biggest dystopian phenomenon. So you can see all these. Obviously, these are like-minded people who are going to be watching the video who think this way, but it's crazy how many people do actually feel that way, eh? So that just goes to show you that it's a common phenomenon. Which brings me back to the topic of nostalgia. So quick story time. Cut to the graphic. So very recently they were playing, they're still playing actually, the extended edition of the Lord of the Rings trilogy in one of our local theaters here in Calgary. And I went to watch with a friend of mine because he had never watched Fellowship of the Ring in theaters, which I thought was crazy. So we went to watch together. And, obviously for me, it was deja vu and it was beautiful to see. But I couldn't help but think there was, on either side of us, there was dads, actually, not moms, but just dads with their kids, about 2 or 3 kids each on either side of us. And clearly these kids were watching the movie for the first time. And I couldn't help but think, these dads are about our age, a little bit older than us probably. But Avatar 3 is playing. There's another kids movie playing. And yet these parents chose to have their kids come to watch Fellowship of the Ring, which is not exactly a kids movie. And it's like the nostalgia factor of doing that versus paying money for the new thing, the new movie. I've seen Fellowship of the Ring 1,000 times, but the friend I went with, we actually watched the entire marathon on December 28th. So it hasn't even been a month since we just watched the entire marathon. the entire trilogy. And yet we did it again. And if it plays next Sunday, we'd probably go back and do it again. Because there's this element of the soul in the film that you can't find in films today, you can't find in a lot of TV shows today, or most TV shows today. And everything around us feels a little bit more artificial, a little bit more digital, a little bit more soulless. And the rise of AI is probably only going to contribute to that, to this feeling of not quite real. But the trouble is, if you don't jump on that boat, you're going to get left behind, probably in many ways. So the solution, because again, in this channel, we're kind of about reading between the lines and finding solutions. My solution is always going back to my personal beliefs. Staying grounded in the things that are important to you. And I'm going to give you some Bible verses now. So if this is not your thing, skip for the next minute or so. We'll get to the end of the video. This is why I center my life around the Bible in many ways, and why people like Jordan Peterson, whom I've met, by the way, and that'll be a video coming up. I'll tell you guys about that. I actually met him a couple times. He's talked about why he, even though he doesn't say he's a Christian, organizes his life around the Bible. So I'll share some verses with you here, because it does feel like we're living in a time where everything's repeating, everything's the same, 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 and also everything's the same. So here's a quick verse. Ecclesiastes 1:9. This is King Solomon talking, by the way, one of the wisest people that ever lived. So even he comes to this conclusion. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. And if you go on to read the rest of Ecclesiastes, it can seem depressing, but he's coming to the conclusion that it's normal to feel tired and jaded by a world that is constantly this and that, this and that. So there's nothing new under the sun. Keeping in mind what we just talked about, everything seems to be repeating. So that's what Jesus said, to give you some hope here. He's talking about all the things that are going to come and happen in the world, and all these things that I think we're living through now. And he says, I've told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. Bam! That's powerful right there. I have overcome the world. So just if you keep your eyes focused on things that are above, this should be okay. But I think nostalgia is a good thing in many ways. And we'll talk a little bit about that before the end. And finally, John 10:10. The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. Now, even if you're not a Christian, you can totally distill this to like the force of good and evil, which clearly exists, even if you don't believe in God per se, or the devil per se. But there's definitely good and evil, and that's observable. That's an observable fact, I think. So you can look at it this way. The thief, evil, all these negative things that are in the world, come only to steal, kill, and destroy. Jesus says, in this case, I have come that they may have life. You can look at it like the force of good if you don't want to look at it through the Christian lens. I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. Some translations say to the full until it overflows. And some say until I have come so they may have and enjoy life. So that's the lesson here. Thieves always come to take, therefore you mustn't focus on the thieves. You must focus on the ones that are trying to restore. So ultimately, that's why I think nostalgia is a good thing, to be honest with you. I think nostalgia is to be cherished. If you feel nostalgia, that means you're paying attention, I think, in my book. If you're happy with the way things are right now and you're looking forward to a future, and I'm generalizing, of course, a lot of people's futures are very, very bright. I'm just generalizing. You're probably not paying too much attention if you're super looking forward to whatever's coming for us in the next few years. It looks very strange. You should at least be weary, I think. That's my opinion. I could be wrong.
You're unbearably naive.
Well, I was born yesterday.
But it's not. I think nostalgia is a good thing. It's a good reaction to ensure that you're still, in fact, focused on the right things. And with that in mind, we're going to finish up today's video with the feel-good story of the day. This is from Good News Movement. Give them a follow-up on Instagram there. Very, very good page. Check it out. It says, for those of you who are listening, an 85-year-old God, I can't read today. I can't read ever. I shouldn't smoke before I do these videos. An 85-year-old widow called the North Carolina Tree Removal Company, begging for firewood to keep her house warm, imagine that, but said she couldn't pay them. Paul Britton, Paul Britton, the owner, delivered firewood for free, fixed her car, her roof, her heating, AC unit, all for free, and raised $20,000 for her Christmas. And of course, there's a video. Let's get into it.
I wanted to bless you before Christmas, and we're not coming back for no money.
That's the nicest Christmas present I could get.
It's all for you. Can I get a hug?
Yeah.
Oh,
Merry
my
Christmas.
goodness.
I hope you have a great Christmas and a great holiday, and I hope the Lord blesses you.
Okay.
Okay? You have
Oh,
a good
He
evening.
just did.
He just did. That's right.
Thank you.
Yep. I'll get you took care of, and we'll get this dumped out right here for you.
Okay. Thank you.
You have a great. It's a beautiful load of wood right there.
There he is taking care of the wood. That's a lot of wood, man.
It's cut pretty small too. That way she can handle it nice and be easy on her. This is none
Good man.
Abernathy.
Good man, Paul
I'll let
Britton.
you know that we're going to give you this load of wood for free. I ain't coming back for no money.
You ain't going to.
So,
I ain't going to charge you.
and then
I'm going to
loops.
let you have.
Anyway, there you go, folks. Food for thought. Keep it all in mind. But as always, these are just my ideas.
And ideas are bulletproof.
Subscribe to my channel. It's a fantastic channel. A lot of people say it's the best channel they've ever seen.